today is April 25th, Saturday, and I'm about to go to a coffee shop because I'm itching to get out of the house. I was supposed to go to the museum today, but I didn't feel like it for the Earth Day tour. It was 1 hour, and I was like, I just went to the museum like 2 weeks ago, so I wasn't really in the mood to go back. So anyways, I'm gonna go to a coffee shop and get some matcha and edit. And then I was also thinking I could explain a little bit about how I chose my inserts for cloth and paper. But anywho, yeah, let's get moving. And I'm gonna pack a bag with my laptop, my planner, and then head to probably Momo's Cafe because they have my favorite matcha, and hopefully find a table. It's pretty early, it's like 11 a.m. so I should be able to before the people start getting out, but who knows. Hey guys, I'm back. So I took a little detour after I left the coffee shop, and I really wanted to, I did record the coffee shop with my phone. I think it was very crowded. I just felt weird pulling out my camera to record while I was in there. So I did get a few clips of the coffee shop I went to, which is called, how did I forget that fast? It's next to Google. 45. I don't know why that wouldn't come to me. So we gonna cut all that out because that was a lot of time. But I just went to go check my phone because I couldn't remember the name of the coffee shop. But it's called 45. It's off West Peachtree Street, right next to the Google Atlanta building. And it was really nice interior. The matcha was really strong, and then I got a 20 ounce. Did I get a 20 ounce? It was a pretty big cup. So I think I got a 20 ounce iced matcha with strawberry puree and oat milk. Really good, really strong, really creamy, really thick. So next time I'll probably do a smaller cup. So like I was saying, I wanted to record while I was there, but it was very crowded. So I felt I didn't want to bring out my camera, so I just took a few little snips with my phone before I left. I did a little bit of editing. So I did what I said I was going to do. I just didn't finish the video. And then I was like, well, I'm already out. Let me just go run to Ikea and order some floating shelves that I've been wanting. So I got 4 floating shelves that I'm going to use to hang my plants because they are burning. See it? They are burning in the sunlight, so I'm actually going to put them on the wall over in that corner. If you can tell, it's a corner, it's so bright. So that little wall space right there, I'm just gonna put the floating shelves and stagger it and then hang my plants on it until I leave this apartment. And then also got a lamp, a little mushroom lamp. I keep seeing those and I think they're so cute. So anywho, went to Ikea, then came home, immediately changed because as soon as I opened the door, I'm already in my lounge clothes. I do not like bringing my outside clothes onto my cozy sofa. So yeah, changed into my little fuzzy set, and I just grabbed my journal because I actually wanted to use this video to talk about how I chose my inserts from cloth and paper. It was a very tedious process of like trying to figure out what all I need. So let me put this camera down and we can talk through it together. Okay, so in my creative journal, which this is my original one that I talked about in the journal ecosystem video from Archer and Olive that I got like 5 years ago, 2020. so 6 years ago. And I never finished it, so I wanted to basically, let me fix myself. Yeah, so I got this journal like 6 years ago, used about half of it, and then it's just been sitting in storage or in my little storage bin where I keep all of my journals. And I definitely wanted to utilize it before I start using more cloth and paper supplies, because if you let me, I will find a reason to get a Pocket Plus, a CP Petite, you know, all the different sizes and types of planners and bundles and covers and notebooks that they have. So, pace myself. So this is my original creative notebook, and then I have another CP Petite. Yeah, I have another CP Petite, basically with rings and graphic notes that I'll use when this is finished. Anyways, so if you're not in the cloth and paper ecosystem, or you're not like familiar with the rings versus the disc, it's just different ways you can like attach or create notebooks. So you can either use the 6-ring system and like the paper will have holes in it, or you can use the disc system and then the paper has a different way of attaching to the disc. So it's all personal preference. But yeah, so when I was trying to figure out how I wanted to, or like what kind of ecosystem or setup I wanted, I literally had to list everything out that I wanted to do with my journal or journals. And I was just thinking through, okay, what do I need? What different purposes do I need to keep track? Like, let me pause. What different things do I need to keep track of? And what kind of setups will help me achieve that? So I have a running list here. I knew I wanted to have a daily language journal or something just to like basically journal in Yoruba every single day. I needed something to do a running to-do list. So when I think about how I like to structure my task, I really just prefer a running to-do list. I don't mind assigning it to days either, but I don't like time blocking. Like, I do my task based off how much energy I have, so I can't predict how much energy I'll have throughout the course of the day. I can, of course, like block out meetings and things like that, but what I might say I might do in the morning, I might end up doing in the evening, just because maybe I have more energy in the evening, or maybe I'm in my creative flow. So I really don't like time tracking per se, but I do like running to-do lists, and I like assigning tasks to particular days that I want to work on them, but there's no like time specific where I actually do that task, if that makes sense. I also wanted a scrapbook, or basically a place to store random notes, something I could tear off and like throw it away if I don't need it, but just like basically a scratch pad or just scratch paper. Then I also wanted a notebook to like, or a set of notebooks for like anything that I'm learning. So like in this example, I wrote Databricks because during that time I was studying for my certification, and I just wanted a way to document or write down specific topics that I knew would come up in the exam. So that's why I kind of like the traveler's notebook system, because I can have a notebook for every single topic, and when I'm done with it, I can take it out and switch it for something else. Then I wanted so I did write down hand lettering. I do like hand lettering and scripting, but that got tossed. I don't need a separate notebook for that. I wanted a creative journal, and then I was like, well, I have one. I'll use this for now. So I wrote that down. A learning journal, I already said that, and then basically something for like goal setting. So once I created that list, then I kind of started grouping things together. I was like, okay, well, maybe it looks like I need a creativity journal where I can like do some brainstorming, wireframing, mind mapping, just writing down notes, things that inspire me. So all those got bucketed under the creativity journal. And then for the learning journal, I was like, this could be like maybe a traveler system, so that way I can just have a notebook for every single topic and switch them out. And then the last thing I said, I was like, okay, maybe I can bundle the productivity and the goal setting together, and then that could be its own journal. So that way I can do task tracking, but also like go at a high level and then create task and action items from that. So that's pretty much how I came up with my journal ecosystem. Let me go grab my planner. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So once I kind of created these 3 buckets of creativity, learning, and productivity, then I knew, okay, then I knew kind of had a direction of where I wanted to go with my journals and what I wanted to go inside of them. So then on the next page, I was like, okay, now that I have these buckets, let's figure out how I want to break down my productivity and goal setting. So even before I even browsed the Cloth and Paper website, I knew I wanted like a running to-do list type of template or insert that would let me create a list of tasks and maybe assign it to a day, or it could just be kind of like free, open, and I could just create a running to-do list and then, you know, check things off as I go. So I didn't mind whether it was like a running to-do list and basically each day I assign different tasks that I want to accomplish, or it was a running to-do list and I kind of grouped things by high, medium, and low priority. So I knew I could go either direction with that. Then for the goal planner, I thought I could use something as, I wasn't even sure what to use. I was like, it could either just be regular graph paper and I just write down my goals, or if I see any type of template or insert that is specific to goal tracking, I'll look into it and see if it'll fit my needs. So I didn't really have a vision for what I wanted that template to look like. And then I also just wanted a note section. So like a note section where I could just like, you know, write things that I guess are more related to like productivity and like business versus having notes that were more creative. It makes sense in my mind how I wanted to split them, but it's hard to explain like how I separate the creative notes from like my productivity notes. I guess the notes that I keep in here are usually things that don't have a set date, but it's things that I need to accomplish. So like when I'm doing this bathroom remodeling or helping my mom with this bathroom remodeling, I'm like keeping different list of tasks of things I need to get done, like who I've contacted, what, you know, what they were quoting in the price of the bathroom remodel, what kind of exemptions are there. So like for one of the companies, like you have to buy your own fixtures and like, you know, the faucet that you use, the fixtures, the towel rack and things like that. So that's not included in the cost. So just notes like that. So that's how I broke down my productivity planner. And so that's how I started getting into Cloth and Paper and kind of browsing their website. Because I think if you just go to their website and you don't have a specific thing you're looking for, it can feel very, very, very overwhelming. Because trust me, I did that before I even like broke down my system. I just kind of went to go browse the website to see what I could find. And I was like, oh, heck no. Like, it was just pages and pages, and then it's different sizes, and you're just like, this is overwhelming. Like, you don't know what size you want, you don't know what planner insert you want, you don't know what dashboard you want. It's a lot. And I think they do have consultants that I see on the website, or you can like schedule a consultation to kind of help you pick out your planner setup. But I think it's still good to have an idea of what you're looking for, so that way it can help you really get specific and narrow down and use the filter functionality to narrow down on the website. So I already had the LV agenda cover, so I knew whatever I got needed to fit inside this cover, so that helped greatly. I didn't have to spin my wheels on what size inserts to get because I knew a personal size would fit inside the LV. And if you watched my previous video, I actually used the personal wide inserts. I don't use personal because I find them too narrow for me. And I didn't know what personal wide was until I browsed the Cloth and Paper website. So I saw that they had a tab that had their, I guess, the size comparison of all their inserts. And I saw personal and personal wide, and I was like, now that's new. I didn't know that existed. So I kind of just went for it and hoped it would work. I did have some tape, and like I measured what would, I think it's maybe 4 inches, I can't remember, or 4.25. So basically personal wide is the same height, but it's an inch wider than the personal inserts. So in my head, an inch didn't sound like it made that much of a difference, but it does. It's a big difference. So as you can see, like my inserts do kind of stick out the side a little bit, but not enough to bother me. So let me get focused again. So yes, I was browsing the website, and that's how I came across when I knew I wanted a running to-do list. I was between the weekly admin inserts, because they had like that free page that had graph paper on the right side, and then on the left side you had sections for each day of the week, and then at the bottom you had like basically more tasks and the habit tracker. There was one other insert that they had. Let me see if I wrote down the name of it, because I'm not going to remember what that one was called. The Ivy Lee. Okay, there it goes. So for me, it was between the weekly admin and the Ivy Lee inserts. And the Ivy Lee basically had a free space of graph at the top, and then at the bottom it had each day of the week, and then a slot for like 6 tasks. So basically in the open section, you like kind of brain dump everything that's on your mind, and then you start to prioritize all of those tasks for each day of the week. So to me, they both felt like they were accomplishing a similar thing, where I didn't have to be tied to a particular day of the week if I didn't want to, but I could assign tasks by day if I wanted to. So for me, there was really no rhyme or reason why I picked one over the other. I did see that the weekly admin had a dated version, and that's what I wanted, so I didn't want to have to write the days of the week every single week. So I think that's why it won versus the Ivy Lee inserts. So I went with the weekly admin for this year, and then maybe next year I'll try the Ivy Lee method, but I like the weekly admin so far. So let me show you what the weekly admin looks like. So this is just an empty page for the weekly admin. And then I'll show you one that actually has things on it. I can show you this week. So this is my spread for this week. So I have that. I don't use the habit track search. I don't use the habit tracker section, so I cover it up and do a weekly quote now. Yeah. And as you could also see, I have another insert here that I'm using to track like my content ideas. And then on the other side, I have my note paper, so where I just keep notes of any topic or thing that came up during the week. Sometimes I put before I got the insert that I used for content ideas, I used to keep content ideas on that sheet of paper, but I didn't like that I had to rewrite my content ideas every single week. So I'm glad I'm using the inbox inserts to do the content planning now. And then also on the note page, sometimes I use it to track, I used to use it to track content, I use it to track notes. Every week there's a happy hour live, and they're usually releasing a new product, so sometimes I'll just create a wish list for that week, like what do I want to order, because I can't just go on their website all willy-nilly, because that's how you spend too much money. So I usually will have a little running wish list of all the things I want to get on their website, and I allow myself one purchase a month outside of the intention box, because otherwise you'll be buying something every week. So that is the main task tracking section. And then I feel like a few videos ago I also showed the goal tracking section, but they had some inserts for goal tracking. So honestly, I didn't really have to think too hard about it. So this is the current quarter, and I just use a page per quarter. So that's how I track my goals. So they had inserts for that. It wasn't a lot of options in that area, so my decision was really easy for that. And then last but not least, I have my notes section, which is just graph paper. And those were the 3 things I knew I wanted to build out my productivity planner with. So it was very helpful for me to at least have an idea of what I wanted. So that way when I went on the website, I wouldn't be so overwhelmed, because I know how overwhelming it could be. So if you have trouble navigating the website, or you find it overwhelming, maybe just take a day or two to figure out what is your preferred planning style. So that way you can understand, like, do you like a running to-do list? Do you like time blocking? Do you like prioritization? Like things like that. So that way you can find an insert that fits how your brain works when it comes to productivity. And then what other things do you think you want to track? So like if you have a running list of everything you want to track, see how you can group things together. And then that way it kind of starts to inform like what your setup will be. So once I saw things that were related to productivity, I was like, okay, these 3 things I want together in one journal. So it will greatly, greatly, greatly make your life easier if you have an idea of what you're looking for. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of their website now and all the different sizes. So if you want to ask more about like the cloth and paper stuff, feel free. And I'll do my best to answer it as accurately as possible. Thank you for joining me today, and I will catch you later in another video. Bye.